Hi everyone, welcome to this vlog that we call BOMA Greater Dallas Unplugged, where I provide you with highlights of what's going on in our association and just to get to know our members a little bit more. As some of you may know, our membership renewal period is going on right now. It started October 1st. And I cannot express how beneficial this year has been as being a member, if not being the president of BOMA Greater Dallas. I feel that the momentum and strength that we've gained in the last 10 years has helped prepare us for 2020. Our volunteers have worked so hard to gain relationships with our local, state, and federal officials, be it Dallas City Manager, TC Broadnax, or just with our legislators at the state and federal level. We've made a mark for BOMA Greater Dallas, and now these officials are looking for us as a resource. So I feel like, that our dollars, our membership dollars are going towards things like that is helping us get through a pandemic, get through civil unrest. The information that we're gaining from BOMA International and Texas BOMA has been beneficial too. Just this week, we received a guide from the Emergency Preparedness Committee with BOMA International. It's called the Civil Unrest Preparedness Guide, and it's in light of what's been going on and to help us prepare for election week as well. So I hope you guys found that. It came out in the e-voice for Thursday, but I'm sure you can go to our website and find the guide there as well. But like I said, it's just things like this that they have, we all have been forward thinking about, and we are sharing that information with everyone. So as our committees are preparing for next year, we're hopefully looking at a better year than it was 2020. Although I can't say it's been too bad because, I mean, we're getting through it, right? I wish I could say I could see the future, but I'm not that person. But we continue to plan for in-person events as we do right now. We're continuing in-person events, and we will do so next year as well. So let's move on. For this episode, as I bring up about membership renewals, I thought it would be great to bring in my old high school teacher, Mr. J.J. Colburn. He started out as an educator at my high school for 6 years, but then he also got into managing associations. That's where he met Teresa at the Texas Society of Association Executives group. And JJ has come in before and talked with our Building Leaders program and just talking to them about associations, getting them to understand how it works, the ins and outs, things like that. So I thought, why not bring him in to talk to you guys about why membership in association is so important, especially for times like this. So here's our conversation with Mr. Colburn.
All right. Hi, everyone. Today I'm talking with a friend of mine. Teresa is actually the one that reintroduced us. Teresa knew Mr. Colburn, I call him Mr. Colburn, JJ Colburn, through her involvement with her association, Texas Society of Association Executives. I knew him from my high school years. I was a sophomore when Mr. Colburn came in and started as a teacher and counselor at my high school. And he was just, when the new guy comes in, he's the coolest guy, cool new teacher. He headed up one of the funnest student groups that ever was made, I think. And this diehard Longhorn alumnus brought new energy to our school. His vibrant and contagious leadership provided the Westwood Warriors a new student organization called the Yell Raisers, sorry. It worked out so well since our school district only had 2 high schools at the time, and Westwood resembled the University of Texas and Round Rock High School resembled Texas A&M. So if we are to wear burnt orange and be like the University of Texas, why not have a group like the Hellraisers? It truly was a genius idea. It gave students an opportunity to be part of a group and receive a free ride to all the football games. Mr. Colburn got the right students involved who were leaders themselves and made a following out of this. It was just a great, genius idea. So let's welcome Mr. Colburn. Hi, Mr. Colburn. How are you? Welcome to BOMA Greater Dallas Unplugged.
Well, I'm happy to be here, and thanks so much for the walk. Down memory lane. It's been fun to reminisce, and I was just telling you earlier, and I just showed you. Too bad this isn't a video because I actually found pictures of you as a high school student that were up in one of the boxes that I keep. So I'll make sure you get those.
Oh, I love that. I am like just so touched. Because I can't tell you how much, obviously it should be shown how much what you've done for me, and the connection that I got out of you, just with our time together, which would have been for 3 years, I guess. But before I went on my tangent and how I remember you, I mentioned that Teresa reintroduced us. And so I left Westwood, and you were still a teacher and counselor, right? How did you get from being a teacher to the president and partner of Strategic Association Management?
Sure. Well, I love being a teacher right out of college. I was, as you know, pretty young. I started teaching at like 23, something like that, 22 maybe. And that was really never in my plan. I'd planned to go to law school, and somehow or another, I ended up teaching. I was just going to teach for a couple of years, and then go to law school, and then just fell in love with organizational leadership and being in the classroom, and then being just on a campus and in a community. You may remember that I also got involved with student activities just in general, and I worked with the student council, so student government. And as an advisor, I would take students to summer leadership workshops through the Texas Association of Student Councils. And after a year or so of doing that, I had an opportunity to be on staff at some of those workshops. And then just through a series of connections with people and being willing to step through doors that were opening up at the time, I had an opportunity to go and work for the Texas Association of Student Councils. Still had no idea really that associations were a thing, that there was such a big industry, that there were domains and certifications and all kinds, that it was a profession. I just knew I was going to work for the Texas Association of Student Councils, and that was really cool because I got to do a lot of stuff that I did at Westwood, except on a big, giant statewide scale. And then through that organization and being on staff with that, with TASC, got introduced to the broader world of association management, including the Texas Society of Association Executives. I didn't meet Teresa at that time, of course, that was many, many years ago, but through an organization like TSAE is where I met other people who were also in profession of association management. So I worked at TASC for about 11 years, and then had the opportunity to move to another organization where I was the executive director, CEO. Did that for about 7 or 8 years, and then through another relationship, just another connection and stepping through a door, I had the opportunity to become an owner and partner in an association management company. And so what we do now is organizations, basically they can be managed one of three ways for the most part: purely volunteer, standalone staff, like what BOMA Dallas has with an executive director and a staff team. Or a lot of organizations are now turning to an AMC model, which you hire the company that then staffs your organization, and provides the full service of association management. But the cool benefit of that is that we're all you get a lot of expertise for not quite as much as you would have if you were paying for a full-time staff member. So that's what we do now. We manage 16 or so associations across the state and country. Have a staff of about 20 folks, and so really enjoy that. So that's kind of how I got to this place and that journey that we were on.
Oh, that's so cool. Not to go back into history again, but I was just thinking about how when I was looking through my memorabilia box last night, trying to find that one picture that I wanted to show you. I was looking through some old high school newspapers and saw that one of my good friends at the time, Michael Gula, who he's in politics now. He manages, he has his own PR company and things like that. But what he wrote about in a story that I just look back at and I thought, dang, I really missed the boat. Because I didn't do student council back then. I was more on the class government part, which
Sure.
was two different things. So, well, and plus I think you only took maybe the president of each class maybe, or
Right.
but he talked about how going on those trips with you guys, learning about governance and things like that. I guess it just it sounded really awesome. It sounds like the kind of conferences that we attend ourselves, kind of thing that would have really. I feel like I said, I really missed the boat on that deal because it sounded pretty fun.
Well, I will tell you actually that you may have missed the boat then, but I don't think you've missed the boat now, because the reason that organizations that, that was an association, the Texas Association of Student Councils, and the programs that they were putting together, and that eventually I was involved in putting together, were designed for people to be connected, and one of the things that, and to learn and to grow in an area of interest, right, and to get the skills they need to do the things they need to do. And I was a few years ago I was the chairman of the TSAE board, and had the opportunity to kind of shape a message that I wanted to share with the association community. And it really boiled down to this for me. You mentioned connections earlier. I really believe that associations are where people are given opportunities to have their passion, their area of passion, and their area of interest connect. And so through the experiences that associations provide. So, for Mike Gula, and I certainly remember that young man, and I can see his face in my mind's eye right now. He had a passion about and an interest in government or politics or learning how that worked. So our association, TASC, put on programs that allowed him to do that. And it's so cool to hear that now that has shaped who he has become and what he's doing now. And so what I would argue is that by involvement and by being a leader in BOMA Dallas, you've taken your passion, right, for people and for connecting and for being involved in an organization, and paired that up with your interest, which is your profession, something you want to be better at, something you want to pursue, and where that intersects is where you live. And so, you might have missed out then, but you haven't missed out now. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's a great thing. And that's why I thought that having you talk about association and why it's important for us to be a part of an association, I thought that you would be the perfect person to talk about this. So, and obviously it is. So Teresa brought you in last year and talked about associations with our building leaders. And unfortunately, like I said, I didn't get to attend that presentation, but I did hear, we've got great feedback from the building leaders that listen to you, and the mentors too. For BOMA Greater Dallas, we just entered into our membership renewal period. And I thought, like I said, I thought it would be beneficial for our members to hear about associations and how it can help our members, especially during times like this. Tell us why why should a person be a member of an association?
Great. Well, I'll go back to what you opened with, and when I got to Westwood, there were a lot of themes, like there were the cheerleaders, and there were the sun dancers, and there was the football program, and then there were the volleyball players. And so, but it was not a comprehensive plan around bringing kind of all of that together. And then there wasn't really a place for students who were interested and had passion to get plugged in if they weren't in one of those groups. And so I remember thinking, let's do this. Let's figure out a way to coordinate all of this and to bring everybody together. And I don't know if you remember or if you were involved at that time, but one of the things that we did was we said, let's create a spirit council, right? And so let's have a person from all these different groups come together and kind of plan what the year looks like and how it's coordinated. And so this whole idea of the yell raisers, I was thinking maybe we'd get 20, 25 kiddos and we'd put them in t-shirts and we'd get them into the football game. And I went and met with the athletic director and I said, here's what we want to do. We want to get these kids and we want to bring them to the game and we want to let them sit in the stands in a block, and it'll be good for everybody. It gives people something to do, keeps them out of trouble on a Friday night. And I said, but I'd like to get them in the game for free. And he said, sure, absolutely. What do you think? And I said, maybe if we're lucky, a busload, maybe 30 kids. By the time this thing rolled, I don't know if you remember this, but we had upwards of 300 students who signed up to be part of that. Took up a whole section. And the athletic director at the time called me in after that first game, and he said, hey, we can't let 300 kids into the football game for free. We're going to have to come up with some way to do this. And so I bring all that up because associations matter. And just like organizations matter, if you think back to your high school days, for anyone listening, people want a place to belong. They want a place to connect, and they want a place to pursue the things that they're interested in and get better at what they do. And that's as true for a high school student as it is for a professional, as it is for anybody on that spectrum. And I think sometimes the older that we get, we forget that basic human need of belonging and that basic human need of really self-actualization, getting better at what I do and being the best at the best of my ability at what it is I do. I think the older we get and we get focused on family and we get focused on making money and having a career, we sometimes lose that, right? That reality. And sometimes we feel, even though we have everything we thought we wanted, we can feel a little bit empty, right? We can feel like, but when you really boil it down, what is most of the time missing is people don't feel as connected to each other and is connected to their community, and they don't feel like they have the opportunity to grow their skills in a way that makes the world around them better. Associations do that, and associations provide a place for that. And that's one of the things I really love about being in the industry and being in the business is that, it doesn't matter what your association is. It could be a widget making association. I mean, it could be the most boring association on the planet, right? But when it all comes down to the bottom line, what we are doing is we're creating places where people can be connected to one another, and where people can, again, get better at what it is they're doing, move a mission forward, and improve their own skills and their own areas of interest. And I think the second part of your question is, why is it important? So hopefully everyone understands why I think it's important that people get connected with a group like this. But why is it important now? And I think now, probably more than ever, and we were already moving that direction with our over dependence, and not in a bad way. I mean, technology is great. It changes it. We get so much more done. But with COVID and with where we are now, we are so much more stuck in a virtual world. And I think that while the temptation might be now not to join because we can't go to meetings, or we don't get to go to our happy hours with each other, so why am I going to spend money on that? When this starts to dissipate and when we get to be back together, keeping you involved in whatever way you can with your association is just, it's going to be so absolutely necessary. People are going to be so hungry for that in-person interaction. And I know that a regional or local or area organization like BOMA Dallas, in a lot of ways, my understanding would be that the face-to-face interaction and the happy hours and the connections you guys get to have with one another because you're all local are critically important. And so I could see where people would say, well, I'm going to wait and do BOMA Dallas later when we can go out and we can meet with each other face-to-face. But I would argue that it's even more important for people to support the organization now, so that the organization can be ready to provide that face-to-face interaction when it's time again. So.
Yeah, I keep saying that we're, it's not like we kind of are in a holding pattern, but not really. It's like what this time can be used for is to prepare us for when we do get back, or when our customers do get back into the buildings. It's like we have to, do our research, really prepare the buildings, and say, yeah, it works just as much for associations as anything too. And I was gonna mention something about there was something you had said that really got me that I was gonna say, but I forgot. But that's okay. It'll come to me again.
It'll come back.
Yeah. So what do you think can make a member successful and getting the value out of their membership?
Yeah, I think that folks need to be really clear about what it is that they're looking for in an association, and because some people are going to come to the association for connection, right, and for to networking and to make friends and to that sense of belonging. Other people are going to come to the organization for education or professional development or that skill building. Some folks are going to come to the organization because they really believe in the mission and they want to support the industry that the association is in. Other folks will come because they want to be part of have an opportunity to discuss problems that they're having, and it's like a forum for problem solving with other people who are doing similar jobs. Other folks are going to come because it's a career builder. You know, it's like you're going to get involved in an association because you're meeting people, and depending on what size property you're managing, you're going to interact with people with other properties, and you're going to see opportunities, and you're going to meet people that when it's time for you to make a move in your career, you have a better chance of that happening. And so I think that great associations do all of those things. So it's incumbent upon the staff and the leadership to make sure that you're providing something in all those areas that I just named. But great members figure out which of those things is the most important to them, and then they seek out the programs that are going to allow them to get what they need out of the organization. If what you're really looking for in an association is getting better at professional development and training, yet all you do is go to the happy hours and you do the networking, and you miss out on all the other pieces that are really there, then you're going to get to the end of your year and you're going to say, well, why that didn't do anything that I wanted for me. Well, but if you didn't seek out the things that you were really looking for. And so I think to really understand what the offerings of the association are, and then to figure out what when and where and how those things are happening is the way that I would recommend someone try to leverage the power of the association for them personally.
So now I remember what I was going to say.
Okay.
It ties into what you just said. And I think people that have listened to this or who know me, they kind of know where I was before I got into the industry. So I'm kind of feeling like the reason why I love the industry I am is in part because of the association that we have. When I out of college, I started working at Lone Star Park horse racing facility in Grand Prairie, and there's not an association. There wasn't an association for sponsorship, for sports sponsorship. It was like you either knew people at the Texas Rangers, at FC Dallas, things like that. But it was hard to get people together. So when I moved into this industry and got in with the association with BOMA Greater Dallas, it was easier. It was so much easier, and it was like I got to. It wasn't just connecting with people, but then the education part, and that was my biggest thing. And I think it would be with any emerging professional coming in, is you want to learn more about your craft. You want to get better. You want to perfect your skills and things like that. And I felt like, and that was my go-to. That was my motivation to give back to the association, was because I was curious about things. So I was like, well, I'm going to get on the education committee and be the one to help get those topics in, because I'm very interested in that and I want to know it now. I need to know it now. So that was kind of my way of providing the value, but then also giving back to the association. So anyways, just kind of going off what you were saying, like that was, I feel like a company, a principal member would want to be a member of our association because it helps them have a good pool of employees to keep their employees at their company, because they can provide them with an association membership kind of thing. And because I feel like that's why I am still in this industry, is because our industry is always ever changing. There's always something new coming on, even before COVID. And so, yeah, I feel like that's probably another advantage of being a member of an association, is to also help keep your employees.
Absolutely. It's a win-win, right? And because the company, the benefit to the company and or the firm or the school or whatever the organization is that is supporting membership and participation in association, your employees are better at their jobs because of the experiences they're having in the association. And at the end of the day, all company owners, all company managers, all leaders want their companies to be successful, right? And so the way you're going to do that is by having really talented people who know their industry backwards and forwards. But you also want people who are engaged and who are happy. And so if they're getting needs met of belonging and connection through the association, then they're going to be happier and they're going to be more engaged and they're going to be more fired up about your industry. So it's really a win-win because you've got great employees and they're happier and they're getting great information, but it's also a great benefit to whatever the company or the organization is.
Yeah. So kind of going into that primary member or principal member we call, what would you tell a principal member why it would be important, more than just what we just talked about, but anything else that you would say to them why they should support their staff, other reasons, and especially the emerging and young professionals being a member?
Yeah, I obviously the things we just talked about are key benefits and for principal members or for owners or for whoever, is having that engaged, happy employee that is really good at their job. But I would say even taking it broader outside of that, like the opportunity that you're giving newer people in the industry, besides the learning, besides the connection, to do what you did. And to go in and say, this is a place, there may not be many other places. And if you've got limited opportunities for management pathways, so say you have, I don't know your industry well enough. So if I'm wrong on this, but say you have 10 employees and you've only got 2 managers. Well, if you've got 8 great employees out of those 10 who all have managerial possibilities, you only have really 2 pathways for them, right? And so they're going to have to eventually move out of your company to go to another opportunity for leadership. But involvement in an association, there are tons of opportunities for management, for leadership, for stepping into a role like you're in right now. And so you're actually giving your newer employees, your younger employees, opportunities for leadership development that will keep them engaged with your company when there aren't any inside your company, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And so that's one of the things I love about associations, is it provides opportunities for people to take on leadership roles and to get that training that's outside of the industry, but it's about running a meeting and pulling a committee together and planning a program. And, you're allowing folks to really stretch and build those leadership skills in a way that you're supporting them so they're loyal to you, but you're not having to put them in a position that you don't have, and you don't have to lose them potentially at an early point in their career or whenever they want to move up and get into a leadership position.
Well said. That's exactly how that is exactly how I feel. And I probably will forever feel this way because of going through, not just being chair, co-chair, but being on the board and now being president. It really, I have learned so much.
Yep.
And then just the people that I have been interacting with, the teams that I've been on, the board, the different boards I've been with, it's like you don't get that anywhere. You don't get those other personalities. You don't get those experiences that every day. And so it's like, I'm so grateful to have had the experience that I've had this year.
Yep.
But any of the previous years that I've been a part of the association and having leadership.
Yep. Well, the dynamic is all the relationship dynamic is also very different. To be interacting with people who are in your industry, but they're not your coworkers or your supervisors or your the folks that you're managing. There's a totally different dynamic and you're able to explore things about your industry, about your style, about your preferences, and it's safe because there's not that weird dynamic of I work with this person and or I work for this person and or this person works for me. And so you don't get that with your family because they don't understand your industry, right? You don't get that with your coworkers because there's a weird dynamic, but you do get that kind of ability to explore your kind of interest and skills and professional, all the things that your deficiencies and things, and you can be honest and you can really make connections where you're like, man, I need to work on this, right? Or I'm really good at this. So I think that's an added benefit of this is kind of it creates a network that is that really gets what you do, but it doesn't have the weird dynamic of like a coworker, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I feel like I've got several mentors that I've been able to talk with, and it's like every year I find more and more people. If it's finding another mentor or even finding a mentoree. I talked about an episode where I felt like when I was in high school, I was I taught. I guess they were like 7, they're elementary, middle school. I taught them tumbling. And I'm like, I'm not the greatest tumbler at all. However, during those 2 years that I taught them and telling them what to do, it made my tumbling skills much better.
Absolutely.
So I feel like, I feel like that's the one thing about what would be great about being a mentor is it's also crafting you're honing in on your skills too and making it better. But
absolutely. I mean, you want to become great at something, teach it. Period.
So what else would you tell a member why they should participate in an association, and then where should they start?
I think a lot of the things that we've talked about here today hopefully make the really strong case. I mean, I'm obviously an association junkie and just believe in it and love it. But I think all the things that we've gone over today, the ability to connect with others, the ability to, again, sharpen your tools and get new tools in your toolbox. You mentioned something that really wasn't on my thought process, but it's critically important, is that ability to find a mentor. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, a mentor, we have mentor programs. But in association, mentorships happen much more organically, and they happen for a lot of different reasons. And so, I've actually found more success in creating a culture or with organizations that have a culture of kind of mentorship mentality rather than a direct mentorship program in some cases. Because, a lot of times the mentorship program, it's hit or miss and the people connect. And so really that culture of mentorship is a really valuable reason to be involved in an organization. And especially if that your industry kind of lends itself to that anyway. I would go back to what I said earlier, that if someone is a new member, really dig in and find out what the organization's values are, what the culture is, and then what the offerings are. And then be very clear about what you're looking for. And I would let your first step be find out like what you're looking for match up with what you're connecting with, right? So if I'm coming to the association because I'm looking for education, then I'm going to go to the education programs, and then start to expand into other areas that the organization provides that you didn't even know you were looking for, because I think you'll be surprised that you find, oh my gosh, there's so much value that's being added to my life and to my profession. And then the third thing I would say is don't sit on the sidelines. Get involved. You're going to get out of your involvement with an organization what you put into it. And so get involved. Don't just attend webinars, volunteer, raise your hand. Your association experience is going to be so much more enriched by your active participation. So that would be the advice I would give somebody who's starting that journey. Know what you're seeking, figure out where you're going to get it, and then don't stay on the sidelines And don't be afraid as a new member to say, where's a place for me? Can I move that box? Can I hand out that name badge? Can I, whatever? Because most of the time you look at people who are further along in their association. For a lot of newer folks that come to an association, you look at that person who may be on stage, who may be doing the podcast, you're like, wow, that person's way over there. You have no idea that the person is just wanting so much for you to raise your hand, and they want to create that pathway for you. So I'd say that would be probably my most important advice for a new member, or even a returning member who hasn't been engaged. Get involved, raise your hand. Don't stay on the sideline.
Definitely talking to the cheerleader who was on the sideline, but at least I was like trying to do something.
That's exactly right.
Well, so great. And I apologize. I swear I turned my phone off. I really did. I should put in $20 into your
I didn't even notice.
for the weekend. Well, Mr. Colburn, JJ, I can't not call you Mr. Colburn, but thank you.
I'm just JJ.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us about association and just how we can, why it's so good to be a part of it. This is so great. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. And it's really fun to get to reconnect with you over these last few years. And, for folks out there who don't know, Christine mentioned that I'm a Longhorn. And of course, you may not know this, but she is an Oklahoma Sooner. And so I'm actually headed to Dallas tomorrow to go to the weirdest social distance Texas OU game ever. But I couldn't miss it because this will be my 31st Texas OU. So we'll see. I'm glad we did this interview today instead of on Monday, because one of us is not going to be happy.
Yeah, I think I know who's going to be not happy, but that's okay. It's fine. You can't always win them all. It's okay.
I'll tell you. Well, thanks so much, and it's such a joy to get to talk with you guys and extol the virtues of associations. So, hope you have a great membership year.
Thank you so much.
I hope you guys enjoyed my conversation with Mr. Colburn. I can't, it's so hard to call him JJ, but he's always going to be Mr. Colburn to me. But I hope you guys really enjoyed that conversation, and I hope you feel just as motivated as I have felt after talking with him. He's so engaging, he's so knowledgeable, and I hope that you see that there is value in membership in an association, especially for BOMA Greater Dallas. On to our recaps and reminders. This past week, we had our October luncheon where we had Neff Partita. He's our Texas BOMA lobbyist with Block Lord, and his presentation pretty much gave us a scorecard of what to expect for the elections, letting us know what seats are open, what seats may stay red or may stay blue. So very, very great information. In fact, I think when we watched it on Tuesday, that was probably my fourth time to watch it, and I still had questions for him. So feel free, if you need to watch it again, it's on our YouTube channel. You can watch it there. If you have any questions, feel free to ask away in the comment section, and we'll get Neff or Robert Miller to answer them for you. Thank you to Ashley Muscat and Mooring Construction and Restoration for their continued support and support for that event. It was really great to see everyone in person at Eddie Dean's. Our next luncheon will be November 17th. It'll be similar, very same as what we did in October for this month. In-person event will be at Eddie Dean's, and we'll also have it virtually as well. We'll hear from Mark Dotzer. I know some of y'all have probably heard from him before. He is truly amazing, forward thinker as well, talking about the economy, especially after seeing what's going to happen after the election. So this will be a really great one to hear as well. Make sure you register, but register on the correct page. So on to other reminders for you guys. We're closing in at the end of October, which means that we have the fall scholarship application period ending, as well as our Lone Star Awards nomination. So make sure you get those applications and nominations in by October 31st. Our toy drive is in session right now. We have a registry on walmart.com, think wedding, baby shower. We have a whole list of of items that you guys can choose from. You can get the link from our website as well. The Medical Office Building Committee is having their seminar on November 11th, and this is their big session where they're talking about big things: state of the healthcare market, weathering a perfect storm, joint commission changes that every healthcare MOB owner needs to know, healthcare development in an uncertain world. So make sure you go online and register for that event. Principal members, listen up. We have our event coming up, and it's going to be here at Hotel Crescent Court on November 12th. We will have Dr. Michael Gao, CEO and Medical Director of Haven Diagnostics, speak to us. He's going to help us understand what business owners are thinking about and what they need to know to make them feel comfortable about bringing their employees back to the office. I think this is going to be a really great one. You guys don't want to miss this one. So look out for the invite, and I hope that you save the date now, November 12th. It will be at breakfast, so in the morning. One last thing, real estate members, you should have received an email from Angela Franklin or myself, as BOMA Fort Worth and BOMA Greater Dallas are putting together this joint survey on salaries. So make sure that you fill out the survey because it will be due mid-November. And for those that do fill out the survey, you will get the report. It will be free. And then you'll also be invited to the webinar, which Redex, our researcher, will be providing an analysis on the salaries in our market. That's it for now, guys. Thank you for watching another episode of BOMA Greater Dallas Unplugged. Stay safe, stay strong, keep up the good work, and don't forget to vote. Thanks.